Welcome, everybody. It's nice to see you all here today. I think it's about time that we can get started. Just wanted to give a intro. My name is Kate. I'm the VP of Workforce Development for the Wisconsin Healthcare Association and the Wisconsin Center for Assisted Living. I'm also the managing lead of WisCaregiver Careers. With us today is Jillian Kitchen, our communications lead for WisCaregiver Careers, and our mentorship experts, Natalie Knopp and Pat McBride, both of Christian Living Communities. Thank you all so much for being here. Today, Natalie and Pat are going to be walking us through one of the meatiest topics of the whole mentor model that they've developed. This is the first half of the 8-hour training day that your mentors will receive as you are preparing them to start their mentorship with your new CNAs. This training is the didactic half of the day. Last week we presented the skills training. That is also part of that 8-hour mentorship training day for your new mentors. And so, yeah, without any further ado, I will turn it over to Pat and Natalie. Thank you so much for being here.
Great. Well, thank you. We're really excited about this and a really great attendance. So we're really thrilled to bring this program to the state of Wisconsin. It's extremely beneficial. So today is going to be a really interactive, fun day. We are going to have our introduction, and then we're going to be defining the program. We're going to talk a little bit about communication and leadership, stress management leading to burnout, adult learning styles, managing change, and team building, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Again, this is a really interactive, fun education. This is a train the trainer. So the education that we're providing today, along with the PowerPoint and all the talking points, will be available for you to take back to your communities and train your mentors at any time that you would like. We do have some breakout rooms as well as whiteboards, and so we would ask for your participation. You can go ahead and click directly onto the boards once those do pop up. We're hoping that everybody knows where your restrooms are and where to get your coffee and water, so feel free to get up at any time. We do have 2 10-minute breaks that are scheduled as well. And we're just hoping that everybody has arrived alert and engaged and enthusiastic, just like we are. So we're really excited about this. All right, well, let's get started. Just so you're aware, as a reminder, all of the documents that we're going through are on the Google Drive, and all of the packet materials that I'll be going over here in just a second are located in that Google Drive as well. So you can go ahead and follow along with us if you would like. The link to the material folder is pulled up for your convenience. The information that we'll be going through this morning is exactly what you will be presenting to your new mentors. So please feel free to follow along. So without further ado, we'll get started with our packets. Oh, you're going to do that? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no, that's fine. So what we do is we prepare packets ahead of time for our new mentors that are attending the class. Well, when you open that up, we do have the PowerPoint, which is on the right side, so that they can go ahead and follow along, take notes. And then in the other pocket, we do have the materials that are needed for your new mentee to be successful. Again, those are located on that Google Drive. So we do have the mentor program policy, which we go through the highlights with our new mentors, just so that they can understand the definition, the goals of the program, some of the background information, and what the requirements of being a mentor are. We also have the personal style questionnaire, which Pat and I will be doing towards the end of the presentation. And that is available for the mentors as they're going through the class with you. We also have the team building styles that is pre-printed and ready to go for our mentors as they're going through the class, so that they can go ahead and read through those team building styles and determine what style of communicator they are. At the very end, we also have the mentor-mentee train the trainer education evaluation. So we ask individuals to fill that out so that we can always incorporate any ideas that they may have into our training to make it better at any time. We also have some suggestions on onboarding our new CNAs, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through our presentation. And then we also have how to help your mentee feel comfortable on their first day. We do suggest that your new mentor be prepared. They want to make sure to give a call to that new mentee the night before, if possible, and just share, we're so excited that you're joining our community. My name is Natalie. I'll be standing at the front door waiting for you to say hello. I do have your work shirt, so don't be concerned, as well as your name tag. And you want to make sure to have those items so that your new employee does feel comfortable their first day of work, and the mentor knows how to greet them. We also suggest letting that new employee know, but from the mentor, where to park. Do they bring their lunch or not? Do you have a refrigerator? Do you have a locker to put those items into, or do they need to leave their purse or wallet in the trunk of their car? So you want to give them a little heads up on how to arrive that front day. And then again, you're going to greet that new individual at the front door. You want them to feel important and like they're a part of their team. You want to make that eye contact and just share that we are so happy to have you. And we're excited to show you around our community and introduce. You also want to explain what the plan for the day is. This morning, we're going to go on a scavenger hunt, and we're going to find all the items that you need to know where they're located so that you feel successful. We're going to go through the general flow of the day. So we're going to get up our residents at first, and we're going to help them prepare to go down to the dining room for their meals. Susan does have a life enrichment activity at 10 o'clock, and Jane is going to be picked up by her family at noon to go to the dentist. So you want to also share charting times and when their breaks and lunches are, and explain that if they have any questions during the day, to make sure to let you know. Again, you want to have that new employee just feel really a part of that team and familiarize themselves with what that day is going to look like. We do provide a scavenger hunt for our mentor and our new associate to do together. It really helps them to feel a little more comfortable within the community. We also introduce them to their coworkers and to our residents. Again, have that name tag, and also share with others that they need to have on their name tag as well, so that you can introduce your new employee to all of their associates. And then be careful not to overwhelm them at first. We have an orientation binder that we provide that has all the protocols and policies and key contacts. And we go through that briefly with our new associates. And just remember that you have a whole year if you're initiating the mentor program for the full year that we have recommended in our past webinars together. So you have a whole year to work with this individual. So don't have them feel too overwhelmed. And you want to make sure to share contact information with your new hire. Make sure to give them your phone number and the important community phone numbers, especially who to call if they're calling in, and also what that time frame for that call in is as well. And then just remind them about the monthly evaluation protocol. During our past webinars, we talked about how we have the mentor and the mentee sit down together within that first 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, 120-day, 6-month, and 1-year mark, where each individual goes through and just checks in. How are you doing? Any questions? How am I doing? Any support that you need? That is also how the mentor is paid for their time. And so it's really important that the new mentee understands that that you'll be sitting down and checking in, and those papers go ahead and get turned in for payment. The other sheet that we offer is the early warning of some concerns for the mentee. It's kind of set up like a stop and watch if you're familiar with the Interact tools. We want to ensure whenever we have a new associates, if there's a problem that's coming up, that the mentor has determined, we want to try to problem solve that right away so that we can hopefully retain that individual. And so those early warning signs that could be of concern for the mentor would be something like, seems like they are not connecting with the resident or coworker, talks or communicates inappropriately, needs more help than expected with the skills. They participate less than you would like in their training. They have issues with attendance or timeliness. They don't take direction well. They're not progressing with their training. They have difficulty providing resident directed care, a poor attitude. They're tardy or take long breaks, or they don't take direction well, or they hesitate to ask questions or get clarification. So you can see where this tool would be really beneficial for that mentor that's working with a new associate, that if there are any problems, we want the supervisor to address those concerns right away, again, so that we can ensure that they are successful within our community. The other item that is in the packet is, for goodness sake, a daily book of cheer for nurse aides and others who care. It's a book that we recommend that is written by a CNA that has some really great advice. On your handout, there's also the ISBN number so that your mentor can go ahead and order that, your community can order that, but it's a good read that we have found really beneficial. All right, so those are the items that we have within our folder that we give to the new mentor as they're going through the training. So you would just go through those documents with them. All right, and with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Pat. Oh, and just a heads up, if you do have any questions or need further clarification, please put that into the chat and we will be monitoring that so that we can have this as interactive and answer any other questions that you may have. And with that, I'll turn it over to Pat.
Thank you, Natalie. Good
You
morning,
bet.
everyone. So at the risk of being a little redundant, so here's where you're at right now. So you have identified a mentor champion, and that person is ready to go. You have you've given out your application processes to your potential mentors. You have interviewed your potential mentors. You have chosen them. You have set up your packets that Natalie has just gone over. You have gotten ready for your skills lab. So you've gotten all your supplies. You've got that set up. And now what we're going to go over today, which is the skills lab, is what I trained on last week. So you've got those already. You've got your helpers identified that can help in your skills lab. And so what today is the training. So typically when you've picked your mentors, you do a day-long training, and it's in the morning typically from 8 to noon. We do the didactic, and that's what we're going over with you today. What you are going to be, you or your mentor champions or your designee will be training your mentors. And then we do lunch. And then in the afternoon, as we talked about last week, from 1 to 4 is the skills lab. So just for your context today, is we're going to go over the didactic or the morning of your mentor training. Okay, so we're just going to go through the training as we go through it, and you can adapt this to what works for your communities when you do your mentor training. So what is a mentor? I want everybody to go into the chat and write a word or two that describes what a mentor is. What is a mentor to you? A role model, a resource person, a guide, a positive role model, an inspiring leader, a go-to person, someone who leads by example, a teacher, and a resource. Great, thank you. Those are all great descriptions of what a mentor is. So make sure you share this with your new mentors and say, this is why you're here, because you are seen in that role. You are seen as a resource person. You're seen as a good role model. You're seen as someone that's positive. And then you're going to explain the process of the mentor program. So we've gone through this a lot, but basically what you want to tell them is that this has been proven to create retention in your communities. So our retention rate went from about 50%, 40 to 50%, to about 80 to 90% for people that are mentored. And so that's a huge increase. And the reason people stay, and the reason we have created the mentor program as we have, is because people have said the two things that keep them in their job is, number one, I need a best friend at work who I can rely on. And number two is, tell me how you want me to do my job so that I can succeed. So the whole program is based on those two concepts: creating a relationship and helping people know exactly how you want them to do the job. And those are the skills competencies. So it's really important. It is in our communities, we've done it for 10 years and it's been successful, and it keeps people in their jobs, which is really what we want, right? We want our residents to have the same people taking care of them and creating a community. So let's go to the whiteboard if we could. And I want everyone to, so there are benefits for this mentor program, not only for the new hire or the mentee, but also for the mentor and also for the residents. So I want you to write down on this whiteboard the benefits of a mentor program for the mentor, for the resident, and for the mentee.
Pat, are we seeing the whiteboard
We
properly?
are.
Okay, great.
There's some really great descriptive words coming up.
Okay. So great. You've got some great ideas here. So for the mentor, there's empowerment, there's relationships. I'm gonna have to put my glasses on. There is leadership development, caring, autonomy, engagement. And for the resident, there's similar cares, right? So they have the same people taking care of them, and the residents, the people taking care of them know them well, and they know their simple pleasures, and they know what gives them purpose in their life, which is great. Benefit to the mentor trained staff to be effective members of the team, consistency, getting to know the staff, consistency between the staff members, consistent care, pride in helping others, and the mentee. They have a partner to learn from. There's friendship. They benefit the mentee and experienced coworkers that they can rely on. It creates a supportive team and having a familiar person taking care of them. So you can see this program really benefits not only our new hires, but also our mentors, our residents, most importantly, and our community at large. It gets us off that gerbil wheel of hiring, training, them leaving, hiring, training, leaving. So it's really, really a really great program. And we hope that you really capture the success that we did with our program here. And again, Natalie and I are here for any questions you have, because I know each community is different, and some are large, some are small, some are rural, some are not. So we can help you try to change the program to meet your needs. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Natalie, so we can go back to the PowerPoints and just going to talk about communication.
Great. Thank you, Pat. Right, communication is the process by which people exchange information, or in this case, really cute dogs. Communication plays an important role in everyday life and helps each of us develop supporting relationships. Good communication is needed in the workplace with your supervisor, coworkers, residents, and families. The information we exchange can be facts, feelings, opinions, or ideas. How does communication take place? Speaking, body language, eye contact, gestures, written messages, tone of voice, and listening. Communication also takes place by providing feedback. This allows us to let the sender know that we think about the message. Check back is asking the receiver for feedback. So it's something such as, what I hear you saying is. All right, next slide. Communication includes three parts. First is the sender. This includes thoughts, feelings, as well as assumptions, beliefs, and attitudes. And the message, which includes words, tone of voice, and body language. And the receiver, which includes thoughts, feelings, assumptions, beliefs, and attitudes. So note that the sender and receiver have the same adverbs. So if you could put into the chat, why do you think that the sender and the receiver have the same adverbs? And give it a second for everyone to see if you're awake yet this morning. So remember, those adverbs are thoughts, feelings, assumptions, beliefs, and attitudes. So why do you think that the sender and receiver are both communicating the same adverbs? Communication goes both ways. Yes, goes two ways. Good job, Anne. Absolutely. Yeah, they're both trying to communicate the same adverb. So very good. Communication does go both ways. Sources claim that 70 to 93% of communication is nonverbal. Isn't that amazing? I think we all intuitively know that, but it's always just a really great reminder for us all. Next slide, please. Feedback is important because it gives a message to the sender that you understand the message. This also allows for a clarification of the message. The person receiving the message may provide feedback such as, let me see if I got this right, or I understand the first part, but could you go over the second part? Check back is when you, as the sender, want to ensure the message was received the way it was intended. So, for example, can you repeat back just so that I know that we both understand? Or I can see that you have a lot to deal with right now. I'll check back later when things have calmed down to reinforce what I said and answer any questions. I think this one is really important when we're on the floor. We can really tell when someone is overwhelmed and they just have a lot that they're dealing with right now. I mean, I think we can all think about that time in the morning when we're trying to get up all of our residents and get their ADLs completed and get them dressed into the dining room. You know, that might not be the best time to do that communication. It might be best to check back later when things have calmed down just a little bit and ask about that reinforcement. All right, next slide. So nonverbal communication says 1,000 words. If your body language does not match what you are saying, others will notice. Nonverbal communication is open to interpretation, and the interpretation is not what you might want to send. So those of you that have kids, so both Pat and I have kids, and you would know this very well. So saying I know could be said two different ways with that nonverbal communication, saying 1,000 words. So it could be something like, I know, or I know. So we all know that nonverbal communication, or even better, the rolling of the eyes with our kiddos. All right, next slide. Listening is a very important way to communicate. It is an active process that requires skill, effort, and practice. It also includes paying attention to not only what is being said, but the body language of the person talking. How can you be a good listener? So everybody in the chat, how can you be a good listener? What are some ways that you can be a good listener? And then on the flip side, what are some ways that could hinder that listening? So if you could put that into the chat. What are some good ways and bad ways? Oh no, is no one being a good listener? There we go. Giving full attention while listening. Absolutely. Active listening. Yes. Bad way. Distracted by other things. Yes, I really appreciate that one. I learned a long time ago when somebody comes in to my office and wants to chat that I really need to put down my computer, put away the supplies, and just make that good eye contact and be present. So that's a great one. Being an active listener, yes. Bad, trying to multitask, yes, absolutely. That really sends the message that we're not interested in what they are saying. Poor listeners trying to multitask, yes, everyone can relate to that one. Paraphrasing, yes, that is a great one. What I hear you saying is, and we'll go through that. That's a key point. Eye contact versus continuing to type or work. Yes, again, that multitasking. Bad, listening to respond, good. Taking the time to listen and understand. Oh, I really like that. Taking the time to listen and understand. You're right. It is two components, isn't it? We need to listen, and we also need to share that we understand what they are trying to communicate. So excellent. Great job, everyone. Developing good communication skills is essential for a good mentor and will help avoid any misunderstandings. Communication will also help the mentee develop their knowledge and make you a dependable team member. All right, great. So we are going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break for those that their coffee is running through them or they need to refill their coffee, grab a little bit of water, and we will go ahead and get back in 10 minutes. And Pat will start on the definition of leadership. So we will see you at, let's say, at 45, a quarter till. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to put those into the chat and we can go ahead and answer those as we go along. So we'll see you in 10 minutes. We'll see you back at 12:45.
I thought the break was after leadership.
Was it after leadership?
Okay, so it's about 12:45. Glad to see that you're able to unmute, Natalie and Pat, and turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Kate. All right, so now let's talk about leadership. So for your mentors, this might be the first time that they've actually seen themselves in a leadership role. And it's really important for them to identify some skills that they see value in as a leader and define what a leader is. So we talk about one of the definitions of a leader is someone who can make decisions, someone who can solve problems, can organize work and set priorities, is the art of creating a vision, communicating that vision, and motivating people to act. So I want everyone to just take a moment and think about this. Answer this for yourself. You don't have to put this in the chat. But now take a minute and answer a situation in which I showed leadership was. And the qualities I demonstrated were. So a situation in which I showed leadership was, and the qualities I demonstrated were. Okay, so many of us will think that some of the leadership skills that we find are very, very valuable is that you have to be able to maintain a vision, a model, be able to model, role model, and many of us talked about that. So that's one of the characteristics of a mentor. Role model what it means to provide quality of care and quality of life for our residents and for our coworkers. Open channels of communication, bring out the best in your coworkers, be self-motivated, show integrity, emotional control, cooperation, being tactful, flexible, and demonstrate commitment to their job. So let's, if we could, write down in your chat, who is a role model to you in your personal life? And this can be a formal leader or an informal leader, but a role model for you. My mom, I love it. Another mom, my 5th grade English teacher, my college professor. Any other role models? My boss that I work under, since I'm new to my field, she's been very helpful with questions. The first OTR I worked with. My mother. Shout out to moms out there, huh? Okay, so it's important that you help the mentors know that they are seen as role models and that they are leaders now. And so let's go to the whiteboard and do a quick exercise because we always learn from our experiences. So on our whiteboard, Kate, we're going to ask you to write down characteristics that you have experienced with the worst leaders in your experience and the best leaders in your experience. So on the left side should be your worst leaders, the characteristics of your worst leader, and on the right should be your best leader. This is great. Typically, we have a lot more on the worst side than the good side. So people are really thinking, we learn from both good and the bad, don't we? So let's talk about the good leaders. They're supportive. They understood how to communicate with me. Everybody likes different types of communication, right? They're relatable, trustworthy, a good communicator. They're honest, positive. They support us. They understand the full requirements of the job. So input was realistic. So there's a saying that a good leader will do everything they ask of their team to do. They will do it also. So they should know what they're asking and be able to do it themselves, right? Could figure out solutions to problems. So they are a problem solver and they're involved in the problem solving. So they don't just say, here, you fix it. Passive aggressive, I believe, is on the other side. So that is a negative behavior trait. They always had positive attitude. Attitude is extremely important, especially for our mentors, right? And they always made time for me and let me ask my questions. So we also learned from bad leaders, and my kids are out there in the world, and they have learned they've had some leaders that have not been good. And I always say to them, you're going to learn probably more from that experience than from a good leader. So some bad leader traits are belittlement. Did not give direction and blamed me and others if things did not go well. Okay. Or how about they took credit for things that the team did and didn't give credit to the team? That's a leader that I can recall. Judgmental, they did not communicate. They were negative, passive aggressive. Those are the hardest to deal with. Poor communication, unclear expectations. How can you succeed if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing? Poor communicator and more focused on status and power. So more about what's in it for them as a leader, not for the success of their team. So when you do this with your mentors, you're going to find many of the same things. And you talk about, okay, let's try to find the good leader characteristics, and how can you create those with your mentor? How can you explain those and use those characteristics? Let's go back to the PowerPoint, please, Kate. The other thing we ask our mentors is values are very important as a leader. You have to, I think we're on the next one. You have to role model your values, and you have to have clear expectations of what values you want as a mentor for your mentee. So let's go in the chat and think about what kind of values would a mentor expect of their new mentee or their new hire that they're working with? What are some examples of values that the mentor will expect? Honesty and accountability. Open-minded for learning, not someone that thinks they know it all, right? Respect. Any others? How about being on time? Dressing professionally, using the care plan to determine what the resident needs for the hour of the day. Might be something like, where's their name tag, right? being open to others' opinions, letting the residents give you their choices for the day, not going in and deciding what they're wearing or what they're doing. And treating people with respect, as someone else said. So it's important that you talk to the mentors about what their values are and what they will expect of their mentee and how they clearly communicate that, because that's what a leader does, right? Sets clear expectations. Okay, so now we're going to turn it over to Natalie, who's going to talk. Oh, no, I'm next. Next slide, sorry. Okay, so there's 3 types of leaders. And so the first is a servant leader. And a servant leader, there's a commitment to serve others. They provide the support, nurturing, and resources the mentee needs to be successful. Other characteristics include listening and empathizing with others. They build a community, and they're very proactive with problems. They're nurturers. They serve others, listen, empathetic, proactive, and they use resources wisely. The second type of leader is a facilitative leader. And this is a leader that interacts with team players. They ask questions to solve problems. They collaborate with their coworkers. They practice good listening skills. They're patient and willing to help. They respond positively to suggestions. Lots of team interaction. They're a collaborator. They're patient. They jump in to help, and they credit the team, not themselves as a leader. And the third type of leader is the one quite often that is just starting out to be a leader, or maybe not a good choice for a leader. These are the directive leaders. They provide answers to problems. They give detailed instructions. They talk rather than listen. They emphasize rules and regulations. This is the way it's always been done, or this is a state regulation. They're not creative thinking around those. They dismiss suggestions as non-workable. They don't seek out personal interactions. So these are people that might be in their office with the door closed. So we see a lot of these characteristics on the right side of the board of the negative leader. They answer problems directly. They talk rather than listen. And they're all about rules and regulations, and they take credit for their team's success. Yes, look at how good I am as a leader, not look at how good my team is and how well they did. So mentors, typically, if you chose the right type of mentor, they're going to fall under anywhere between the directive and the facilitative leader, because they're just new at it. And the whole goal is to become a servant leader as they develop their leadership skills. So it's good for them to identify which type of leader they are and know the different types of leaders so that they can strive to be the servant leader. And then I also talk about there are times where a servant leader can become a directive leader. And when do you put in the chat, when do you think a servant leader, or even a facilitative leader, becomes a directive leader because they need to? What are some circumstances? Emergent situations, exactly. When someone needs to be large and in control. So you have an elopement or a fire, or sometimes in surveys in the building, right? You need to bark out orders. You need to go to this neighborhood and I need you to make sure you wash your hands. So sometimes a servant leader has to be a directive leader to get to get a goal. And usually it's within an emergency kind of situation. Okay. Let's talk about the next slide. So it's important to tell your mentors that leadership is everybody's responsibility, including them now, that they're seen as an elevated role and people will be watching them and seeing what they are doing, not necessarily what they're saying. A leader separates the doers from the observers. So the mentors are now doers. They don't just sit back and complain about a problem, they fix it. They do what's best, not always what's easiest or what someone's not going to notice. They do what's best at that time. They know, a leader knows when they need extra help. So you're not going to come into this as a mentor and know everything. You've got 8 hours of training behind you, but you're going to develop over the years that you are a mentor, and you'll need some help, and you need to know who to go to as a resource. And success is measured by the success of those you lead. So if your mentee does well and becomes a great coworker, that's how you measure your success, is that you have created great coworkers that can help take care of your residents. All right, next slide is Natalie's, I believe.
It is. Great. Thank you, Pat. All right, managing stress. I don't think any of us can relate to this, right? But before we do that, everyone turn on your screens really quick, and wave hello to everyone. And how's everyone doing? Are you learning what you need to learn? And we want to make sure to be a good resource for you. I'm not seeing any screens turning on, however. Cameras. Yes, turn on your cameras. That would be more helpful. Oh, shoot. Oh, yay. Hi, Jennifer. Yay. Thank you for turning on your screen. I'm sure many of you can relate to this with a lot of virtual meetings now. It's just really hard to get a gauge of how things are going when you're just staring at a screen. So we so appreciate you turning on your screen, on your camera. Thank you, Jennifer. All right. Well, with that, we'll move on to stress. So stress is a situation that may or may not be real, perceived as a threat, and something in which the mind and the body react with symptoms. If you think that something will happen, whether it does or not, the body reacts the same way. So for example, if Pat, who is my boss, asked me to come to her office before I leave at the end of the day, my initial thought is, what did I do wrong? And so put into the chat, what happens if your boss asks you to come into the office before you leave? For me, my heart just starts to race and I think, oh no, what did I do? What else happens? Something bad is going on. Yes. Sweaty palms. Absolutely. Thinking the worst case scenario. Yes. Yep. Absolutely. We can all think of those situations. Unless it's a good thing and it's about a raise. Ha ha. It's always a good thing, right?
It is with you.
Oh, yes. Threat can be emotional and physical. Can you remain in control of your emotions with your mentee? Stress is contagious, so do not pass your feelings on to the mentee. Think about the times that you were under stress. What happened to your body and your mind? What about your relationships with others when you are stressed? It really makes for a strained relationship, doesn't it, when we're under that stress? All right, next slide. So to manage the stress, we should know the stages of stress and teach those to our new mentor, because with any type of elevated role, new role, we all have that stress that comes with that, with the unknown. So the stages are alarm, that heart starts to pound, the rush of fear. You look around to see what your options are, because you want to know, do I fight or flight? That adrenaline rush gives you a burst of energy to think you can fight, or you can remove yourself from the situation and fight. And then we go to rest, to exhaustion. Our heart stops pounding, we lose the fear, and your breathing slows down. We continue to neglect this stage at work. We do not allow ourselves to rest and relax from the situation. So for myself, I can think back in time when I had a resident fall, and I have that alarm stage. My heart starts to pound and I have that fear, and I look around to see what my options are. Of course, I'm going to run towards the resident. But you do get that adrenaline rush and that burst of energy. And then after the fall, after I've charted and done my assessments, I don't give myself an opportunity for that rest to exhaustion, because we always know what happens. Something else happens on the floor and that you have to rush to, right? There's another event that happens. And so it's really important that we teach our mentors that it's okay to take a little breather. After we have somebody that has fallen, a resident that has fallen, and you've charted and you've ensured that your resident is safe and or taken those next steps, it's important that we allow ourselves to go into maybe a break room, or if you have a tranquility room or a wellness room at your community, it's okay to take a break for a few minutes and just allow yourself that rest and just allow your body to de-stress itself. And it's okay to teach your new hires to do the same, because they have a lot of stressful situations. Remove yourself for a few minutes, go take a little bit of a break, and then come back to work. All right, so next slide. And the reason that we want our associates to manage that stress is because we don't want burnout. This occurs after the prolonged periods of stress. We want to teach others that we can say no. So burnout is when one cannot say no, that they say yes to everything. And we all know that there's limits to what we can do in our workday, and a lack of control. And they start to think negatively about everything. You know, this is that person that always looks at the sunny side of things, and all of a sudden they're looking at everything negatively. So we know that that's a sign of burnout. They start being tardy, or they call in sick quite frequently, and they take up bad habits. So keep an eye on these signs for yourself and your mentee to determine if you're starting to move to that burnout. And we want that work-life balance. We want to be able to have healthy time off so that we don't have that burnout. All right, next slide. One way that we can also help prevent burnout is to have really good time management skills, and to teach our new mentor how to have time management skills. We know as leaders that when we have a mentee, someone that we're training that's new on the job, that it's important that they manage their time well. And so time management means being able to plan the use of your time well to achieve your goals in the most productive and efficient way possible. Time management is about developing good habits and sticking to them. Good habits are hard to break, and bad habits are easy to make. There are many benefits to being efficient with your time. For example, it's going to reduce that stress by being more in control of your time and maximizing what we can accomplish in the time that we have available to us. For some of us, it helps if we develop a to-do list. This helps us prioritize what we need to accomplish first. It unclutters your mind, it motivates and provides direction and keeps you focused. Failure to organize your work and give guidance to your mentee to make sure that the tasks that need priority get done can increase your stress level and result in poor work performance if you don't get everything done. So one thing that I really appreciated was one of the first nurses that I worked with. She really taught me how to make a to-do list. So the first thing in the morning when we would come in, she would look at our residents after we've had report, and we would just talk about what needed to be done, put it on the to-do list, and prioritize. And that's really important thing to teach our CNAs, right? Who needs showers? Who needs to go to a doctor's appointment? Who needs additional help with getting dressed in the morning so that we're not rushing our resident? We really want to set up our new mentee for success. So do help them to develop some really good habits around putting together their time management. And next slide. You cannot say yes to everything that needs to get done. We have to be realistic and show the mentee to take part. Teaching the mentee to always say yes can create more job stress for them, thinking that they have to do everything. Fault finding is blaming, criticizing, and not looking for a scapegoat. Deal with an issue as it arises and attempt to solve the problems. Look for ways to avoid the problem in the future. Acknowledge that mistakes happen and life goes on. We all make mistakes. It's really important that we teach our new associates and also our mentors that things happen, life happens. We want to have an environment where if a mistake arises, that it can be shared and discussed, and we can look for solutions and move on with that. It's really important that we have that culture. And don't worry about the past, only be concerned with the present and the things that you can control. If you worry, you add more stress to the situation and it will magnify that problem. And don't give vague instructions. Communicate clearly and define what needs to happen so that there's an understanding between you and the mentee. Make sure they understand they can ask questions. Open that line of communication. By doing the task correctly the first time, this is going to save you time in the future. I think that's partially why this is such a really successful program, is that it does give that mentee, that new hire, that one person to go to that can clearly communicate and define what needs to happen. It gives a really good, safe environment. And then encourage your mentee to listen closely so mistakes can be avoided. Be open and accepting. And it's important that we also share that no question is stupid. We want to have that really good open line of communication. And truly, if we don't know the answer to it, it's okay to say, I don't know the answer to that, but I will get back with you. It really allows for us to learn as well. Right, next slide. So work performance. Remember how Pat shared what you demonstrate is what the person is going to learn. And so it's really important that whatever values you have as an organization, as a community, that you portray to that new hire, and the person that's going to be portraying that is the mentor. So we always want to arrive a little bit early to work. You want to set that good example. You want to have enough time to take off your coat, grab a cup of coffee, say hello to someone, and then arrive a few minutes early for that shift to shift report. Pre-plan before you begin. You want to teach your new hire to limit the trips going into the room. I think when we all started, you can relate to this. You would, let's say I was going in to do a dressing change. I would go in and out of that room probably like 4 or 5 times, just collecting the supplies. Oh, I forgot this. Oh, I forgot that. And we all know that certain residents are going to ask for certain things. So set up that mentee for success. We know that Jane always asks for a glass of cranberry juice. We know that Frank likes his pudding with the medications. We know certain things about our residents. So set up your mentee for success, pre-plan, and teach your new hire how to pre-plan. Keep your to-do list handy, which we talked about, super important for starting that day and just ensuring that all the tasks get done. Combine tasks when possible. Show the mentee how to bring, again, that water in with that vital signs equipment and the clean towels during that one trip. And be flexible. Things happen, life happens. And so it's important that we be flexible and don't sacrifice quality for speed. That's really important. We are after quality of care for our residents, those that we serve. And teach about work-life balance. It decreases the burnout, and it's really important. Accurate documentation is really essential, and it needs to be completed in real time, if at all possible, and certainly before they leave their shift. All right, next slide, please. So what a mentee needs. your mentee really needs relief from anxiety. So again, you're going to call them the night before so that they know where to park and what to bring in, if you have a locker or not. It's going to decrease their stress level when they walk in that front door. They need a sincere welcome. Greet them at the door by their name. Look them in the eyes. I am so happy that you are here. Introductions are really important to everyone, including residents. I don't know about you, but I think our residents are sometimes more curious and want to know our new associates more than sometimes our counterparts are. So introduce to our residents and then integrate them into our community. Loyalty is really important. It's really good to make sure to let the mentee know that we can problem solve anything. Come see me first. So Pat always gives a great example of the trash can. Did you share that the last time?
I don't remember.
All right, so the trash can. So with that loyalty, make sure that the other staff know, come to me with any problems that you may have with your mentee. So for example, the trash can doesn't get emptied. In the past, it was that each of our associates would come up to the new hire and say, you didn't empty the trash. I can't believe that you didn't empty the trash. Don't you know that you need to empty the trash before you leave? Instead, now we have our associates go up to the mentor and share, your mentee did not empty the trash. And then the mentor can go to the mentee and say, hey, just a friendly reminder that we always empty the trash before the end of our shift. So it can be taken so much better for our new mentee. And you can see how that individual would want to stay. And then expectations, explain general flow of the day, when to anticipate breaks and lunchtime and charting time and any activities that are going on within the community. All right, so next slide. All right, so Jillian, just a heads up, we're going to be doing a feedback exercise. And we're going to have you participate in it. So that'll be coming up in just a few minutes, just so that you're ready. So what a mentee needs, they need to know the policies and procedures. Just like Pat shared, if you teach me, I'll be successful. The chain of command, always go to the mentor first whenever there's a problem. Oftentimes the mentor can solve that problem and help that mentee to stay. And then be shown where things are kept. This is the auction room. This is the charting room. This is where we keep the clean linen so that they feel comfortable. Again, we have put together a scavenger hunt for those items, which the mentor and the mentee do, that's been really successful. And then always respect. That open line of communication for coworkers and for the new mentee is really important. And prompt feedback, both good and bad. Acceptance. Everyone has talents and offers something different within our community. And I think that's the beauty of all of us being different. We do all have those different talents. And then relationship with peers, introduce them. Remember that one of the successful elements to the mentor program is that they have friends at work. And with the mentor program, you're automatically pairing them with a friend at work. And that's often why we stay where we are, is because we do have a friend at work and we know what to do. And then also no gossiping or talking behind the backs. It's really important that we have a really positive work relationship. So, Jillian, are you ready? We're going to have a feedback exercise. This is one of Pat's and my favorite to do. So for those of you, when you do train on this in person, you will ask for a volunteer to leave the room and close the door and have everyone in the room participate. So those of you that are on this are going to participate. And Jillian, we are going to ask that you turn off your volume when I give the thumbs up. And when we are ready to have you come back on, I will give you another thumbs up to come back on. So turn off your volume. I'll give you a minute to do that. I can't see that it's on or off, so I'm going to give you a minute to turn that off.
And
Okay.
Jillian, if it's hard to get the volume off, what we did last time was I just like went in another room and I just came, I think Travis texted me to come back. So like I can do that as well if that's easier.
That's awesome. Thanks, Kate. Yeah, we didn't want to choose on Kate or pick Kate again because she would know what to expect.
The element of surprise is everything in this one.
Absolutely, it is. This one is so much fun.
It is actually really fun.
Kate, is Jillian ready to go, do you think? Can you tell?
What do you think, Jillian? You good? Can you hear us? Can you? No, you're good. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you can't. Okay. Good. Good. Stay that way. All right. Good.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So everyone, what we're going to do is we are going to ask Jillian to wash her hands and demonstrate that to us 4 different times. The first time that we do it, we are all going to clap and cheer and say, nice job, good hand washing technique, way to use that friction for 20 seconds, etc. Then we're going to ask her to demonstrate hand washing again. And this time when she's demonstrating, we're going to talk positive about anything except her hand washing. So I like your hair, your shirt, I like how nice you look today. So that's what we're going to do the second time. The third time that we asked Jillian to do the hand washing technique, we're going to talk negative about everything about their hand washing technique. You only washed for 5 seconds. You forgot to turn off the water. You didn't use a paper towel. So everything negative. And then the fourth time that we go through the hand washing technique, we're not going to say anything at all. It's going to be complete silence while she does this. All right. So we do need everyone turn on your microphone. It might sound a little haphazard, but we're going to make it work because this is what makes it fun. So everyone, if you can, go ahead and turn off that microphone turn off that microphone, turn it on. Thank you. I think it's Michelle. Thank you. I can see you on my screen that you turned your microphone on.
All right. Hi.
Okay, I think we're ready. All right. So, Jillian, what we're going to ask you to do is to demonstrate hand washing for us.
Oh.
Okay? And we're going to ask you to do it 4 different times. So you may need to step back a little bit from your camera just so that we can see your hands.
All right.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. So go ahead and demonstrate for us how to do that hand washing.
Let's turn on the water.
Oh, good. Nice job.
All right.
Come on in.
Put our hands under.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, nice.
What you're supposed to do. That's
Oh, I like that. The soap dispenser. Good job.
All right.
Yeah. Get in the backs.
If you have kids, you'll appreciate this. You sing a little song.
Oh, nice.
Excellent, Jillian. Very
Lamb
good.
favorite.
Good. Yeah.
Excellent. Yay.
Woo.
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday.
And then
All right.
Great technique.
the water, rinse it all off. Turn the water off.
Good. Wow.
Oh, try my hands.
Oh yeah, try your hands. Good call. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So now go ahead and demonstrate a second time for us how to do that hand washing.
All right, 4 times. Okay.
All right, 4 times. You're on number 2.
All right. So number 2. Turn on the
Love your scarf.
That. Oh, you can the back.
Love your glasses.
All right.
Oh,
Get
yeah,
it
the
on.
glasses are really nice, aren't
You
they?
have such a pretty smile, Jillian. Such a pretty smile.
Thank you.
Yes.
Put it under water. Rinse it
Yeah.
off. We got our 30 seconds. And
I love
then
how your-
water off.
I love how your hair is pulled back. You look very relaxed today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Number 3. All right, turn the water on.
Oh,
Wash your
and your
hands.
sweater's almost like a fall color.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, isn't it?
Oh,
Very nice. Well put together.
the lamb.
So positive.
Yeah.
Rinse it off. Turn the water off. Dry them off.
I wish I could see that painting behind you. It looks like it's really pretty,
Oh, yeah.
like a blur. Yeah. Nice.
Lovely fall colors. We're gonna do number
Yes, I can
3.
see that. Fall colors. All right. So go ahead and demonstrate for us a third time how to do that hand washing.
Turn the water on. Rinse them. Get some-
Ooh, that was kind of
Oh,
quick.
too fast.
Yeah, I don't think
The
we
water's warm.
did adjust the temperature properly.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, we'll get some hot water.
Yeah. Good idea.
More
Oh,
soap.
Oh,
ooh,
eh,
mhm.
eh.
You need to use a little more friction.
More friction. Good call, whoever said that. Absolutely. More friction.
Not long enough either, I don't think.
No, and really
We're
not
on the
getting
road to
rid-
survey trouble right now. Mhm.
Agreed.
Ooh.
Survey trouble.
Ay, ay, ay.
All right, here's our really good scrubbing.
I
Figure I need to meet the nails.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, good call,
Right.
whoever said that.
Okay, and nails here.
Yeah.
And
What about the wrists? I don't think I saw the wrists. Oh,
Man, we gotta start from the beginning with her.
yeah. Oh, okay. Let's do that for a fourth time.
Right, turn the water on. Get your hands into the water. Get some soap. Mary had a little lamb here, 30 seconds, some scrubbing. Get those nails. And then get under the water, rinse it off, turn the water off, dry your hands.
All right.
There's how you wash hands.
Good job. So, Jillian, how did it feel? How did it feel when we were positively giving you feedback, saying, good job, good technique? How did that feel?
That felt good. That felt, that felt reinforcing and felt good to keep going and felt supportive.
Nice. Good, good. And what about when we talked about everything positive except the task at hand?
That felt distracting. I think it was, distracting and trying to figure out how to keep on target, but also acknowledge what was being said and keep it moving. And it felt like a lot to juggle.
Yes. Yeah. That's a really good way to put it. A lot to juggle. So as we're going through each of these scenarios, we want everyone to think about how your mentee feels with this particular feedback when you are teaching them their new position, right? Yeah. So Jillian, you're not off the hot seat yet. All right. How did it feel when we talked negative about your hand hygiene technique, your hand washing technique? How did that feel?
Yeah, I think that felt a little overwhelming and also distracting and trying to acknowledge but keep going, but then also a little fearful, like, oh, am I doing it wrong? Am I gonna get in trouble?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And then what about when we didn't say anything at all? No feedback.
Yeah, that was a little tough too, because then I'm not sure, is what I'm communicating sinking in? Is it the right thing? Is it the wrong thing? Do we not care?
Right. Do we not care? Yeah. Exactly. So you can see, as someone that is learning, it's really important that we give feedback in real time for what we are teaching within the moment, right? We want to make sure that we give the good feedback, the bad feedback, and bad feedback meaning giving some instruction on how to do that technique or that skill or whatever we're teaching properly. So, and I think for me, the worst is not hearing anything back, right? Because you do, like you said, Jillian, you wonder, am I doing this right or wrong or not? Or, no feedback is really difficult for anybody that's learning. So, Well done. That's great. Thank you so much. So everyone in the chat, put into the chat, how did you like this exercise? And remember, you can do this at a leadership meeting, at stand up, during in service. It doesn't just have to be during that mentor training. It's really important. So how did you like that exercise? It's one of our favorites. Yeah.
Do I do this or do you? I do. I think we already just did that. Yep. Just this last one.
All right. So
Do we get a break?
this is so learning as an attitude. So we just have one more slide and then we'll turn it back over to Pat. All right, so learning is an attitude. You are the bridge that connects the formal training or community orientation with the clinical or practical orientation. Learning is a matter of attitude, and it means being humble, confident to try new things, and willing to ask someone to teach you. Mentees must take responsibility for their own learning, but as a mentor, you need to put forth the effort. As you teach, you will be learning. You will be showing them the correct way to perform a task. Accentuate the positives and let them know it's okay to ask for help. Teaching takes patience. It's important that they build on what is learned. And I think one of the most important things that we can teach is don't cut corners. Do as I say, not as I do. They're going to see what you do as being a mentor. So it's important. Don't cut corners and teach the right way so that they can do it right every time. All right. And with that, we're going to turn it over to adult learners, to Pat.
Okay. So as a new mentor, many mentors are parents, and they have done some learning opportunities with their children. But this is different. They are teaching adults now. They are teaching their future coworkers. So it's important to know that adults learn differently than children, and they should not be utilizing their learning that they've created with their children, because this is a whole different experience. So adults they're very diverse. They come with their own personal experiences, with their own successes and failures and fears. They like to relate things to their day-to-day tasks. So adults do not want to learn something that they're never going to use. So I don't want to learn how to, do anything with the computer, like, build one. I want to learn how to use it, but I don't want to learn how to build anything with the hardware. It would make no sense to me. I wouldn't even want to learn that. So they have to be able to learn things that relate to things that they're going to do every day. They want some control over their learning. They want to have their own speed. They want to learn the way that they learn best. And adults need positive feedback. They don't need, the worst thing you can do is just be silent and not give them feedback, as we just learned. They don't want a lot of negative feedback. And as you know, that anytime you give someone negative feedback, it takes two good things. So we teach people to say, you did this really well. This you need to improve. However, you did this very well. So we sandwich in the feedback. But people cannot handle a whole lot of negative feedback at one time. So give them one or two things, but sandwich it with positive things. And the other thing is that adults need to know why. Why do I need to learn this? Why is it important to me? Children learn because they have to learn, right? But adults want to know why. Why is it important that I turn off the water with the paper towel after I wash my hands? They won't remember the steps unless they learn the why. So the why is because your hands are clean, and if you touch the faucets, now they're dirty. But if you have a paper towel and you turn it off, you are keeping your hands clean. So you have to teach the why for adults, for all of us to remember. Okay, next slide. There you go. So adults learn different ways. Adults can learn, they're either visual learners, they learn with their eyes, they see things and they remember. They're auditory learners, so they learn through lecture and speaking engagements, those kind of things. So they learn through their ears. Hands-on learners, so these are people that say, yeah, let me try it. I'm going to learn. Let me try to put this together. Or let me try to do this skill. And that's how I'm going to learn. Don't talk to me about it. Let me jump in and do it. And then there's the ones that use their brain. They're big thinkers. So they want to study the competency. They want to read the policy, the regulation. Those are people that really have to think it through. So people are all different. So your mentors are going to be different adult learners, and those that they teach are going to be different adult learners. So it's important that the mentors know what kind of learner they are, and they have to identify who they are, their mentee, and what kind of learners they are. So typically in our profession, we are either visual or hands-on learners, but occasionally we'll have an auditory or a thinking learner. Next slide, please. So let's learn about what is our specific learning style. So I'm going to ask you this question. When learning something new, do you prefer that an instructor uses slides, handouts, or texts, interacts with you by asking lots of questions, or uses demonstration, role-playing, and practicing? So answer that in your chat, if you would. Handouts and slides, okay? Lots of questions. A combination, handouts and demonstrations. So quite often, that's a good point, all of them, that we have a mixture of all different types of learning that we like, and it can be different for the situation. But if you typically or most frequently like handouts and slides and text, you're a visual learner. If you like to interact with lots of questions, you're an auditory learner, and demonstration, you're going to be hands-on learner, or also called a kinesthetic learner. Let me ask you another question. So let's do the next slide, please. When buying something that needs assembly, so you go to IKEA and you get the big box and it has these instructions. What do you typically do first? Do you read through the instructions and look at the pictures? Do you ask someone else to tell you how to do it? Do you call your dad, say, hey, Dad, help me out? Do you just jump in and start putting the pieces together because you probably know how to do it and then are surprised that you have extra screws? Always read the instructions. Okay, so most of us are visual learners. As I said, that's what most adults are. And those are people that like to read the instructions and look at the pictures first. But there's also the auditory that they call someone and say, talk me through it. So that might be me. I probably would call my dad and say, I've got this coffee table, talk me through it. And then there's those that just jump in, and those are, again, the hands-on or the kinesthetic. And they just, jump in and make the table. But we do all do different parts of this depending on the chore. Okay, so as we said, many of us had characteristics of a visual learner. So these are people that prefer written materials. So you want to use highlighters and sticky notes when you're reading. They like things like flashcards. They like visual aids and charts and graphs and notebooks. So they're going to like the competencies on the paper. They like outlines and handouts, and they love using flip charts. Let's do the next slide, please. Oops, go back one, I think. Okay, so auditory learners, they prefer verbal or written instructions. So these are the people that if you have a new mentee that identifies as an auditory learner, you're going to stand outside the residence room and you're going to talk through how you are going to transfer that resident from sit to stand. They learn through storytelling. So that, storytelling is the best way for people to learn. They like interaction and group discussion. So these are people that you certainly want to sit down with other mentees so that they can problem solve and talk. And these are people that are going to want to sit down and have coffee with their mentors and talk about what's going on. They're easily distracted by noise. So make sure that the environment is quiet. They sometimes will move their lips, or they'll read aloud. When they're reading something, you'll see their lips move, or they'll talk to themselves. And so teaching strategies for auditory learners is tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them and then tell them again and tell them that you told them. So it's all verbal. And they love lecture discussions. And then we have the jump in, the hands-on learner, the kinesthetic learners. So they like active experiences. Sitting in a lecture drives them crazy. They have difficulty sitting for long periods of time. They often fidget with things like I do. They doodle. They don't like to read instructions. They prefer to just learn by jumping in. So these are people that teaching strategies that work for them are games and role playing, practical exercises, return demonstrations, written assignments, and note taking, because they have to keep moving. So these are people that in a lecture will take copious amount of notes because that's how they learn. They're kinesthetic. So these are people that love working on Kelly's, the what do we call them?
I don't want to say
We-
dummy.
Yeah, the dummy, right? That we talked about last week. They
Mannequin.
love working with the mannequin. We call ours Kelly. Okay. That's me too, right? So learning is it's transformational. It doesn't happen like that. There's certain steps that go through when someone truly learns something, an adult learns something. And there's certain steps that will happen, but your mentor will know when the mentee really has captured a new learning opportunity or a skill. So learning occurs, first of all, the person truly wants to learn. They want to change the way that they think about things and the way that they do things. So remember, one of the best things about this mentor program is we teach people how your community wants things to be done so that they can be successful. So that's transformational learning. So we need to tell our mentors that it doesn't happen overnight, that there's steps for when it actually occurs. So let's do the next slide. So the first step is the person, your mentee, has to choose to learn, and even the mentor during this training, right? They're transformationally learning. So they have to choose to learn, and that makes people feel uncomfortable, but it leads to growth. So when they first start with a mentor, they're going to feel uncomfortable. They're going to feel like, well, that's not how I'm comfortable doing it. That's not how I was a CNA in my other community. But these people are brand new CNA, so you probably won't have too much of that attitude of, I know what I'm doing and I've done this before a different way. Then they start to fundamentally change their behavior. They have to start letting go of old comfortable habits, which makes people feel uncomfortable. It's a little stressful when they're starting this change, and expect that there'll be pushbacks and some steps forward and steps backwards during this time. Again, it's not just turning on of a switch. So mentors need to know that you'll have some steps forward and some steps back in this process working with mentees. But then you'll have new skill development. This becomes permanent. They do things the right way. They start feeling comfortable. The skill becomes easy, and they start feeling very capable of being a new CNA. Okay. And now we're going to take a break for how long? Till
Like 10 minutes.
let's take a 10-minute break. So let's come back at 5 of. Thank you. Well, then when you have nobody, you can go on vacation.
Well, thanks everybody for coming back after the break. I guess we'll just hand it back over to Natalie and Pat whenever you are ready.
All right, sounds great. We are ready.
All
All right,
right.
so thank you so much, Kate. Managing change. When you see a fork in the road, take it. Yogi Berra. What a great quote. And remember, for your new mentors, this is a fork in the road. This is a great opportunity for them. All right, next slide. So managing change. Change is a road that we are always taking. No one can make us change, but if we do not, we will be losing. There are times that change happens too often and too fast. How we deal with change will determine our ability to adapt and influence our relationships. Change is a shift in external conditions. This means that you need to deal with a situation, method, or supervisor at work. We may not have a choice about whether a particular change is going to happen. And transition occurs when it goes on inside of each of us, when we are faced with new challenges or when we must respond to changes. This is the process that happens internal and is often accompanied by turmoil. All right, so let's see, Jillian, would you mind, or Kate, pulling up the flip chart? And we're going to be writing down some examples of change. So everyone start thinking about when you were in a situation with change, whether that change was something that was predictable that was going to happen, like for example, maybe a promotion, that change was going to happen and you predicted it. How did that make you feel, even with that predictability? Or maybe that change is unpredictable. Maybe there's a big tornado that happens and there's automatic change with that. So unpredictable. So how did you feel when there was change? Some words that just pop out for you. Insecure, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a big one. Not in control. Yes, absolutely. Excited. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, there are some changes that we make happen, and it is very exciting. And yet at the same time, we're nervous and worried. Yes, absolutely. How about others? Any others that come out that you can think of? Some people in the past have said scary, that change can be scary. And definitely out of our comfort zone, especially for those that are going into the becoming a mentor, and it's an elevated role and it can take them out of their comfort zone. All right, what about transition? What are some words that come to mind when you think transition? New journey. I love that. That really speaks to that fork in the road, doesn't it? Yeah, going left or right or straight. We're taking that new fork and it's a new journey. Opportunity, absolutely. Excitement. Yes, I love that word, excitement. It just wraps it all into one. Opportunity happens more slowly than change. That is a really good point that no one has brought up before. You are right. It happens more slowly than change, that transition time. Absolutely. And that can lead to some adjustments. All right, great. Thank you, everyone. I'm not seeing other words up on our chat. All right, excellent. So we can go back to the presentation. So thinking about change, there is a model of change that describes the process, and it goes through 3 stages. Ah, perfect. Thank you. The ending, neutral zone, and the new beginning. For every new beginning, there's an ending of something of value or security. It is human nature for us to cling to what is normal, usual, and comfortable. The time in between the new beginning and the ending, or the neutral zone, can be very uncomfortable. There's added stress, discomfort, and uncertainty. We may not have the power to prevent change from happening, like some of you indicated, or on the other hand, make change happen. We do, though, have the power to choose how we will respond to that change. Endings are characterized by denial, avoidance, not responding to information, wanting to preserve the comfort of the past. All of this is normal because people are being asked to give up what is comfortable and familiar. So when we have you as a new mentor, you're going to be teaching new mentors to give up maybe their current status, their comfortableness in their current position, and not used to teaching others. This is going to be very uncomfortable and unfamiliar. So we do need to give them grace with that. In the neutral zone, anxiety goes up, motivation goes down, immune system is suppressed, people miss work more, and they feel like they're in limbo. But then as they get out of that neutral zone, they're into the new beginnings. This is a time for exploration, fun, excitement, point at which people accept change as necessary or unavoidable. And there's a shift in perception from a threat to opportunity. That opportunity that someone had put it down on the whiteboard. So that's perfect. Those new beginnings give us opportunities for growth. The mentor as a change agent, the time between endings and new beginnings, perfect, thank you, can be uncomfortable. As the mentor, we need to help the mentee see the benefit to them of the purpose change rather than the possible threat. By modeling a positive response to change, the mentor can have a positive influence on how the mentee responds to change process that he or she is experiencing. This will also strengthen the relationship between you and the mentee. Remember that that relationship is just such a key fundamental part of the mentor program being successful. There are losses that may be experienced as well when change occurs. A person lets go of what's familiar, loss of comfort, loss of old friends, loss of feeling confident, and loss of security. Remember too that oftentimes we're hiring individuals that have been in a similar position for a long time, and maybe they're moving from a different community to yours, and this is a change that certainly they wanted, yet they're going to be feeling that loss of comfort from the old job and old friends, and they're not going to be feeling as competent or secure in their new position. So this is really where you as the mentor can really help that new associate gain that confidence. And gains include time-saving techniques, better teamwork, new skills, less boredom, and more enthusiasm in work. The experience can be rewarding with long-term results seen. You can enhance the quality of life and care for the residents at your community. We are all on a journey forward. Change and personal growth are all about personal discovery and grasping opportunity, continually clarifying our vision for the future. By working through change together, you can build a better relationship for your coworkers, develop solutions to issues, and relieve apprehensions. All right, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Pat for team building. This is the fun part.
Okay, so I love this quote. This is Henry Ford. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. So we spend some time talking about how we work as a team and we get so much more accomplished and do it correctly. So let's do the next slide. Okay. So the team stands for Training, Education, and Mentoring Program. So we call ourselves the team, the mentoring team. And there's 4 C's of team building. which create cooperative teamwork. And so go- Samantha, I think you need to mute. Thank you. So let's go to the next slide, which talks about the 4 C's of team building. So to be a good team member, you have to be a good communicator. You have to know what adult learning style you use and what your mentee uses. You have to create a form of cooperation with common goals and purposes and values. And you need to have very clear goals about what you want to accomplish as a team. So communication, cooperation, common goals and purpose, and clear goals. So we're going to do a little exercise. So we're a little off season, but it's coming. So we're going to talk about I just got off I was just watching the news, and I'm telling my team here, everyone on this call, that did you know that we are going to have the worst blizzard ever recorded in tomorrow? It's coming tomorrow. And we as a team have to figure out how to best prepare for that. So what I want everyone to do is, our community consists of these groups. So we have people that work in the laundry department, we have social services, we have the clinical, the nurses and the CNAs, we have life enrichment at the table, we have dining and dietary associates, and environmental services or maintenance. So everybody in my community is sitting around the table from these different departments, and I'm sharing that we're going to have the blizzard of the century coming tomorrow. And what I want everybody to do, because I'm the administrator, is I want everybody to break out into their groups and determine what do they need to do to prepare, and how can they help as a team to prepare for the blizzard of the century coming tomorrow. So we're going to I think, Kate, you're going to put everyone in a group. Is that correct?
Yes, that is what I am endeavoring. I'm going to endeavor to do right now. Here we go. All right, I'm hitting breakout rooms, and then I'm going to hit open all rooms. And as far as I understand, it does it on its own. So here we go.
All right, everybody hold on tight.
I think, did I do it right? Let me see. Wait a minute. I don't know if I did it right. Oh wait, close all rooms. Okay. Options. Okay, maybe I just did it too quickly. It says all participants have been invited to join the breakout rooms.
Okay. So you need to go into the breakout room, and it'll tell you what department you're working in. And you need to start thinking about how you are going to prepare and what you need for your community to survive the blizzard of 2022. And then we'll come back in, let's say 10 minutes.
And you know what? The names that I put in there are not showing up. So let's just take the rooms in the order in which you see on the slide here. So room 1 is laundry. Room 2 is social services. Room 3 is clinical. Room 4 is life enrichment. Room 5 is dietary. And room 6 is environmental. And I guess I'll just go through and assign.
So someone shared, I have not received the invite to a room. It should be coming here any minute now. We're getting it set up. So hang on tight.
Okay.
Everybody know the purpose of being in the room, and if you have questions, put those in the chat. They do it that way. Laundry.
Okay, I think I have everybody assigned to rooms now. Oh wait, here, Teresa. Room 1. Okay. All right, and I think we can just kind of jump into those rooms, Natalie and Pat, as we so desire. Or do you want
Yes,
me to?
please.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
jump in the
Okay.
rooms and start talking about the blizzard and how you can prepare and what you need.
All right, here we go.
Back in 10 minutes. Thank you. No.
So Natalie, should we close up the breakout rooms now?
Has it been 10 minutes?
About that long.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm gonna,
Or can you give them a notice that you're gonna?
oh, sure. Yeah. We will
In my teeth.
Mm. When I first started scrapbooking, I didn't think about them dividing up the pages or what that would look like, or you know
Yeah,
what I
you gotta be
mean?
fair.
So, yeah.
No,
So
it's too late.
now it's too late because it's like a family album with, yeah.
Okay, well, I put out that message and now I'm gonna hit close all rooms. Okay, close all rooms. Oh, it says all participants have been given 60 seconds to leave their breakout rooms.
Lovely.
Oh,
And can we bring up the slide of the groups? To the PowerPoint back on? That'd be great. Okay, welcome back. Bet you had some really good discussions. So let's go to the interdepartmental teams slide if we could. Should be coming right up. Oops, no, I think you got to go back the other way. Oh, next one. 1-4. There we go. Great. Okay, so all right, all of you that are working at what are we going to call it? Sunny Acres here. I told you there's going to be a really bad blizzard and we need to make sure we're prepared. So who's in the first team, laundry? Can someone please report to us what you are going to do to help us be prepared at Sunny Acres and help each other make sure the residents are taken care of. So who would like to speak from laundry? Just unmute yourself.
With that, there was a plan to make sure there were enough linens and clothing on hand for the expected duration, to create a plan to determine if staff would need to stay at the facility, if possibly conditions and roads would be unable to be navigated, and then also doing cross training of the staff ahead of time so that they would be able to assist with non-licensed staff.
Okay, so Molly, was a little hard to understand you. I think that was Molly. But I think what you said was that you would make sure the laundry was being done and you had extras because the electricity might go off. And did you say anything about having laundry for people that might be spending the night, like extra sheets and towels and blankets?
Yes, to have extra on hand,
Good, now we
determine
can
if
hear you.
staff would be staying over, whether that was care staff or laundry staff.
Okay, we can hear you now really well. Anything else?
Cross-training laundry staff so that they can assist with non-licensed tasks.
Excellent. So what are you going to train your team to do to help us?
Well, I've personally seen the ability to answer call lights, to assist with fluids or visiting, hair brushing, just different tasks like that that don't require a license.
Awesome. Well, that's going to be
Nice.
great because we might be down in staff because some people live way out in the rural area and they will not be able to get in. But thank you. That's great, Laundry. I appreciate that. Thank you, Molly. Okay, who is in the group 2, social services? And who can report to us what you are going to be focused on?
Hi, for social services, we would be focused on notifying the families, trying to find out if there were any appointments that these residents had for the next day, doctor's appointments that might need to be rescheduled, or any types of imaging, anything that would need to be rescheduled, blood work, etc. Ensuring that the family has brought in any types of winter clothing for the residents. Also, just reinforcing to the families that we do have an emergency plan that we will work, that has been, we've had it in place for quite a while. We have generators on for backup for heat sources. We have a backup source for water. Probably social services would not be someone that might need to stay. Those rooms that are left open would probably be available, or should be available, for staff who are maybe needed, who we may not be able to get reinforcements the next day due to the weather.
Okay, great. We may want you to stay, social services. We might need you to be doing some of those other duties as assigned and making phone calls to families. So great. Thank you so much. Anyone else from social services have anything to say? Okay, our biggest department, clinical.
I'm under Pilar, but I'm Hannah. I am from Wisconsin Veterans Home in Chippewa Falls. We talked about a lot of safety concerns. So staff walking in to the building with the proper shoes, walking like a penguin so they're not going to fall. Making sure that we have emergency preparedness just in case, lights go out or if the heat shuts off. We had a tornado here in December last year, so if the winds do get too strong, that we're making sure the members are safe in their rooms or in their bathrooms, pretty much, and making sure that the blinds and stuff are closed. And then if members are going outside, making sure that they have the proper attire on so they're not getting hypothermia. And then making sure the front desk is watching for the members that go outside, and make sure that nobody's going outside without proper clothing, gloves, hats, jackets, all of that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from clinical?
So I just have to ask really quick. So you literally had a tornado that your community went through?
Yes, last December.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Yes, everybody was fine. It hit right outside of our facility, so our facility was safe, and our maintenance guy lives 5 minutes away, so he came right over, made sure that everybody was accounted for, everybody was safe, asked if everyone was okay mentally. So that was a really fun experience for everybody here.
Are there a lot of tornadoes in Wisconsin?
Wow,
I wasn't
yeah.
aware of that.
Me either.
Normally, no, but lately it's been a thing for some reason.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's no nothing making sense with weather right now.
No.
Seriously.
Well, I'm glad you guys are all
Yeah.
okay. So you kind of went through this yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so clinical, I want to ask you, how are you going to get your people in? Do we need to figure out where people live and set up 4-wheels to, 4x4s to go pick them up, or how are we doing that?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay. All right. And then how about, when the electricity goes off, I think our wander alert system will go down. So we need to make sure.
We actually went through a full facility blackout for part of our emergency preparedness. So we experienced having no power, having no electricity. So we now can be prepared for that type of thing happening. So the wander guards are actually there by battery. So we have a specific amount of time that we now can account for that those wander guards can be working And then once that backup battery does go out, we place those members on 15-minute checks.
Great. And are you giving your residents call lights or bells to ring since the call light will be down?
Yes, so the call light will stay on for a certain amount of time because those are also battery powered. Once that battery runs out, then yes, our activity department walks around and gives every member bells or something to make noise. And then our members who are on safety lights, they are also placed with 15-minute or in line of sight checks for fall
Beautiful.
risks.
Okay, so life enrichment, you're next. Do you know you have to get those bells out to people? So who's on life enrichment? Anybody in life enrichment? Okay, so if they were on, they would need to know from clinical's directive that they have to get the bells out to people so they could use them for call lights. And as an administrator, I'd also say, you know, we're going to probably have a lot of people spending the night, some of our staff members. So we need to have help setting up mattresses and making sure laundry has plenty of sheets, and that we have flashlights for people, and life enrichment just make sure that, you know, people have what they need and keep people's spirits up. Okay, who from dining services?
And to confirm, that's room 5. So anyone from room 5.
Do we have anyone in room 5?
This is Michelle. Jennifer and I were in 5. We thought we were environmental services because when we clicked over to our room, we could not see Jillian's only posted 1 and 2. And then we tried to click back to see which one 5 was again. And so we thought we were environmental services, but now we're seeing that that's 6. So
Oh my
well,
goodness. The
quick for
trials and
dietary
tribulations.
though, I would say quickly for dietary, one of the things Jennifer stated is, you know, lunch sacks. Bagged lunches.
Okay. Do we have enough extra food for staff that'll be staying? And
okay, so are you?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Or you might call it. Okay.
Yeah, we had also looked at how much staff we have, the possibility of dining being able to assist in delivering those meals, like actually to the rooms, depending on how much staff they have versus nursing.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, tomorrow then.
okay, so please mute yourself if you're not in room 5. Okay, so
Thanks, Cherie.
do we have dining? Do we have enough paper plates? Because your dishwasher's not going to be working when the power's out. Do we have enough paper products? I just ask you to look into that. Okay, and then we have a lot of staff that are gluten-free, so we need to make sure we have dining options for them. Okay, environmental services, or people that thought they were environmental services, 5 or 6. What did you talk about?
We talked about, first of all, the day before, kind of doing some prep to make sure that our emergency backup generator is working. Make sure we kind of go through and review what exactly it powers. At my facility, we pass out extension cords because the emergency generator doesn't power every outlet, only the red ones. So we use extension cords to make sure that we can make the best use of those outlets. And then we would need to make sure that we have at least minimal snow removal of fire lanes, emergency drives, that kind of thing, in case someone needed to go out by ambulance. My facility also offers, because they do have the big maintenance truck with plows, they will go out and pick up staff. So new staff learn very quickly that they can never use that as an excuse to call in, because someone will come and pick them up in the big plow trucks. So.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful. So clinical, can you share with environmental services where your staff members live so that they don't have to be driving all over town. They can do a trip to the east side and then to the west side. So let's make sure we coordinate with environmental services on picking up our staff members.
I can discuss that with our HR and head of plants operations.
Excellent.
We have people all over the place from hours away to 30 minutes away. So
Okay, so let's come up with a plan because we don't want anybody to get stuck. Thank you.
Okay.
And then what else? Environmental services.
We pass out lanterns, because as I said, the generator doesn't do everything. We would want to watch for snow buildup on top of the roof, make sure we don't have like a roof collapse, because that would be just a disaster.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Good.
What else do we have?
All right. And the one thing, so social services, what was I going to say? Would you, when you call the families, make sure they know that we will have a emergency area for ambulances to come and pick up if that's necessary? I think that'll make families feel a lot more comfortable knowing that we'll have that access. Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Clinical, do you have any staff members that have pets or children that they need to bring in so that they can stay and work with us for a few days?
Pets, yes, we know that they are allowed in the building as long as they have their correct paperwork. Children, I also am unsure of.
Okay, so maybe clinical and social services, maybe even life enrichment can find that out, because we need everybody here and we want to make sure we can meet whatever needs they have at home so that they're comfortable when they come and spend at least 2 or 3 nights. It looks like it's going to be a really bad blizzard. So let's make sure we've got an opportunity. Dining, can we get a hold of some pet food and some food that children like? Oh, if that's right, we had no one in dining. Okay.
Yes, you bet, Pat.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's go to, thank you all very much for participating. So the point of this activity is to figure out how much better it is when you work as a team and how you can each help each other create what is needed for the residents or for each other, and you can talk about it so we're not all just working in our own little silo doing what's only good for us, and we can make sure things are handled correctly, right? And really hear out what each other's goals are and needs are and jump in and help. So we do much better as a team than we do working independently. And I love this exercise, especially for people in Wisconsin, because you guys have some major snowstorms.
Yeah.
Thought of a lot of things that we haven't done. So thank you.
And tornadoes.
And tornadoes. All right, so let's do the next slide if we could. Okay, so to be a good team player, team member, you have to really define responsibilities. And we have a typo in there, I think. So responsibilities, so who's doing what, just like we did with this exercise, right? Who is responsible for what, but know that you're not working in a silo and you're helping each other out. Teams have to be honest and they have to be tactful with each other. They have to be really good listeners and jump in and help. The teams that work best have clear standards. So this is acceptable on this team. Team members have to exercise self-control. So as you all did during this exercise, nobody had their head, their hair on fire, only worried about their community, what they are responsible for. Everybody is under control and calm. We give positive feedback for teams. That's important, as we talked about over and over again today. We support each other, and every team has their own dynamic. And even though people and teams seem very different, so you might have an introvert, an extrovert, you might have someone that's analytical, you might have somebody that's really about relationships. It's important that every team member is respected and contributes. The worst team you can have is a team full of the very same type of individuals, because you'll get the same answers. Okay, let's do the next slide. So as a team, and your mentors are going to be a team, they have to identify what their values are. And those are the beliefs that what they know is to be right. And these values guide and affect how the team, the mentor group, behaves. And in your workplace, you have values that support teamwork, and those have to be nurtured. They have to be talked about. They have to be nurtured. They have to be sometimes put into boundaries. But your values are really, really important. So at Christian Living Communities, we have a value that we talk about all the time, and all of our decisions are made of it, which is we honor and celebrate. What is it? Creating communities where aging is honored and celebrated. So that's our value.
We had to get the first
Yeah.
word, creating.
So teamwork can either be productive or dysfunctional. So a productive team, they communicate, they trust each other, they respect each other, they're positive, and they have mutual goals that they want to achieve. A dysfunctional team is one that is that leader that we talked about, that is very rigid. It's when one person takes over. It's one where one person takes all the credit for the team. It's a group that creates movement through fear and anxiety, negativity, and lack of trust. So your mentors are starting to learn about how to be a team, and they need to really work on the positive aspects and not become a dysfunctional team. Team that's productive. Okay, so teams that are productive, communicate, trust, respect. Oh, we already went through this. Thank you. Next, please. It's lunchtime over here. Okay, teamwork benefits. So as we learn through this situation, teams are much more effective than individuals. I've never been in a situation where an individual does better than a group of people together with the brain think. You have more control with the team. You have a greater sense of commitment. And with the team, you have greater job satisfaction because you're all working together on a goal. You have higher productivity, you have higher accountability, and you have a better success. And it's really fun to celebrate team successes versus individual. Okay, so now we're going to do another group activity. So this is going to help you determine what is your team building style. So we all have our own type of team building style. So what we need to do, and I'm trying to make this as clear as possible. So you see column A and column B, and you have column 1 and column 2. So we're going to do column A and B together, and we're going to do column 1 and 2 together. Okay, so let's do A and B, column A and B together. So you have the number 7 to work with. So your total and everything has to equal 7. So you're going to look at these two columns, and this is about you yourself, your own opinion about where you stand. So your choices are likes a fast pace or likes a slower pace. So if you were someone that likes a fast pace like I do, you may want to put a 7 on column A and a 0 on column B, which equals 7. If you like a slower pace, typically the most, you'd probably put a 6 there and maybe a 1 on likes a fast pace. 6 and 1 equals 7. If you're kind of right in the middle, you want to split that with a maybe a 4 and a 3. Okay. Again, 4 and 3 equals 7. Does that make sense? If not, please put that in the chat. And then after you do column A and B, you're going to do the same for column 1 and column 2. Okay, so that sort of enjoys socializing, really enjoys socializing. So for me, I'd probably put a 6 on really enjoys socializing, and then I'd put a 1 in kind sort of enjoys, because again, that equals 7. And once you do those across, then you're going to add down. So you'll see the total. So you're going to add up column A and B and column 1 and 2. And then I want you to circle which one is higher, if you're higher in A and B, and if you're higher in 1 or 2. Any questions? Okay, so we'll give you a little bit of time. Don't think too hard. It should be the first thing that comes to you.
And we just had one new person join. Hi, Michelle. What we are doing right now is taking this personal styles questionnaire. To complete the questionnaire, have your column A and column B total to 7, and you split that 7 between the 2 columns. So if you really like fast pace, you put a 7 under column A and a 0 under column B. And we're going to do the same thing with columns 1 and 2. So you split 7 between each option. And then you total up each column.
Thank you, Kate. So once you have scored the 7s across, then add up your total and circle the highest. If you're column A or B, circle which one is highest and circle which one is the score is highest for 1 or 2. So everyone should be an A 1 or 2 or a B 1 or 2 as their highest scores. Okay. Did I give everyone enough time? Does anyone need a little more time? Please just unmute yourself or put it in chat. Okay, looks like everybody's done. All right, so everyone knows if they're an A1, an A2, a B1, or a B2, right? Based on the highest score. Okay, so anyone that rated an A1, scored an A1, you are a bull. Let's go to the next slide if we could. Okay, so for every team building style, there's positives and there's negatives on how you work in a team. And some of us kind of fall really strongly in one sector and some of us are a little more in the middle. But doing this exercise for your mentors to do for some self-reflection, but they can also do it with their mentees to understand how they can work with them in a team. You can also do it with your spouse or your coworkers. It really helps you figure out how to work better as a team. So, okay, so those that are A1, so your A column and your 1 column are the highest, you're considered a bull. And that means you're achievement oriented, assertive in expression of ideas. You like being in charge. You have strong opinions, bottom line thinker. Okay, so any of you that were A1, does this sound about correct? This would be me, so I'm saying, okay. Your strengths are you're determined, you're thorough, decisive, efficient, effective, and directive. But then there's always these excesses. So let's talk about some of my personal excesses. Dominating, unsympathetic, demanding, critical, superior, impatient, harsh, and combative.
Wow, excess sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, it does. So those are the things that, you know, when I'm stressed, I can lean towards that I have to be careful of when I'm working with a team. Okay, so who was A2? A2 was an owl. And let me just check the chats and make sure I have what we know. Okay, spot on. Okay. So A2 is the owl. And their characteristics are they're active, in motion, lofty outlook, visionary, expresses self well, and they focus on ideas. Their strengths are stimulating, enthusiastic, inspiring, innovative, personable, and a little dramatic. The excesses are they are reactionary, can't stay focused, gets bored with routine, and easily excitable. Okay, so any of the owls out there, does that ring a bell? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so B2 are our dogs or our golden retrievers here. So B2, they're friendly, they're cordial, high concern for good relationships. They enjoy life and they avoid discomfort. Their strengths are they're cooperative, sincere, and helpful, supportive, spreads humor and goodwill, much like a golden retriever, right? Their excesses are they can be sometimes sensitive, they conform rather than fight, so they avoid conflict. They're uncommitted, and sometimes they hide their true feelings. Okay, so any of our golden retrievers out there? Ring a bell? And then finally, B1, which is our elephants. So they're systematic. They focus on specific issues. They like to be organized and deliberation. They're thorough and they're very careful about their details. So these are the detailed data people. Their strengths are they're industrious, they're persistent, orderly, rational, methodical, factual, and dependable. And some of their excesses, because we all have them, is they can be stubborn, they can be indecisive, they can be seen as aloof sometimes, critical, insensitive, and data bound. So this is a great exercise for us to do with our new mentor teams, and it's really, really fun. And what I typically do is I have people stand in with each other. So all the bulls are in one section, the elephants, the dogs, and the owls. And we read this, and there's a lot of laughing and pointing and all kinds of revelations on people. And then to know that, if sometimes you don't have the right mentor-mentee connection. And sometimes it means that you have to look at what are their team building styles? Are they way different? And how can we work with them? As well as what kind of learner are they? So if you do those two type of exercises, quite often you'll have some aha moments so your mentor can work better with your mentee, but this is a really good one. And then when you start developing your mentor group, as you start having mentors on board and you have your mentor meetings, this is a great way to understand why people are like they are in your teams and what you can do to really bring out the good characteristics in your team members and try to tamper the ones that are a little excessive. So now I'm going to turn this over to Natalie for the summary.
Before we move on, can we, what team building style are you, Natalie?
And maybe I should ask Pat what she thinks I am.
No, you.
You know what? I think I need to take this. I would say I'm in between an elephant and a dog. But if you were to ask my husband, he might say bull. I'm definitely not an elephant. Data is not my strong suit.
Yeah. But I do have a really good elephant on my team.
Yes, you do.
So it's important that you have someone of all these characteristics on your team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Natalie, you're probably a dog.
Probably a dog. Yeah, I would say you're probably right about that.
Which is great. We really need that. So
we all need a Goldie and we all need a bull.
We do.
Yeah. And we definitely have an elephant as well.
We do.
So
yeah. And I think we have an owl.
I think we have an owl. Good job, Pat. We have a well-rounded group.
We do. All right. So the question is, I wonder if nurses as a group tend to fall in one or two categories. What are your thoughts on that?
My guess would be that there are a lot of golden retrievers because of the cooperative nature, the supportive nature, spreading goodwill. Yeah, I can see that happening. But I feel like not all nurses are like that though,
Right.
Yeah.
But I do see that that's the type of person that we would attract because of the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
And then, people develop too, right? So they change. And depending on what role you're on. So me being a vice president, I have to have a lot of bull characteristics.
Yeah.
To be successful.
Yeah.
But I try to remember my dog characteristics too.
Which is good. Yeah.
All right. So
I love Molly's comment about, as an elephant, I think we should survey the nurses and collect the data. That would be a fun exercise.
I love
a
it.
Fun exercise. That would be a really fun thing to do during a team meeting or a stand up or a huddle, something like that. That would be a really fun exercise to see what type of team building style everyone has.
And our owls might have already left, right? Because they're bored. So we might not have a lot of owls. because they can't sit still for too long. Okay, so
Yeah,
let's turn this
too
back
fun.
over. Not yet. Yay. Okay. We're keeping the owls excited.
Oh, good. So happy that owls are not flying away. All right. So in wrap up, of course, we are just really thrilled that you are looking at the mentor program and hopefully going to start implementing if you haven't already in your community. I think you can see that based on our success and our excitement in this program, it really works. It has so many positives to it. And I think the most positive is resident care. Really, we're all here for resident care, just to ensure that those that we are privileged to take care of have exceptional experiences and care. And having a mentor program really allows for that. It aids in our mentors to have more positive relationships with each other. They have those friendships that form, and they know how to do the skills, and everyone does the skills the same way. It also really helps to set us apart in survey readiness. We have all the competencies that are completed, and we're survey ready at all times. And it also helps to mitigate our risk. And so there's a lot of real positive aspects to it. If you were not able to make it to our first webinars, don't be concerned. You can check out the online mentorship resources folder, and that's where you can access the webinar recordings, the presentation slides, and the materials that you can use to get started on either your new or improved peer-to-peer CNA mentor program. Kate, is the folder password protected or not? I'm not
No,
sure
the folder is actually not
okay.
password protected. So we do ask that you do not share it widely apart from the Wisconsin long-term care community. We want to keep it targeted to the group that it's intended.
Okay.
And I'm going to chime in here too. We had a couple questions about firewalls for those in state settings. So for if anyone is experiencing problems or issues, just reach out to our general WIS caregivers email, and we can assist with that offline.
Perfect. Thanks, Jillian. We would also like to invite everyone to come to our last mentorship Q&A, which is on November 29th. And we would encourage you to also email us, Pat and I. Please email us together so that we can tag team and be able to answer your question really quick. And with that, any other questions or anything else that we can help you with? And just start small. Just get started.
Have fun.
Have fun. It is it's a really amazing program. So please don't let any of this intimidate you. I think if you find that you just jump in and just get started, and you're going to learn and grow and along the way, and we're here to help support you. But really, truly, just jump in, get started, and get those few mentors going, and you'll grow from there.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
And listening to us so intently and getting so involved. Thank you so
Yes.
much. We're here if you have any questions, please reach out.
Thank you.
All right.
Everybody, it was great to see you all. Any questions, reach out to WIS caregivers. If you have any issues or questions, concerns, we're happy to hear from you too. Thanks.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.